Welcome to a new edition of the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino. On this episode, we talk with Toronto-based commercial photographer Robert Lowdon. He grew up in a tiny town in the middle of Canada. He is now an internationally published photographer working with some of the largest companies in the world. Robert brings a unique style and fresh ideas to his work. He believes in creating photographs that draw the viewer in. After struggles with alcoholism at a younger age, he is committed to living a full, free life. Now, 10 years sober, he gets to live a life he feels lucky to have. He gets into all of this and more. Enjoy the interview.
Blake, thanks for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. So before we get into your life as a photographer, I want to know, how did you survive COVID now that we're reemerging and things are opening up? What was that time period like for you, and how did it change you?
For sure. I don't know. It kind of went well. Like, we're in Toronto, so we were one of the most locked down cities in the world, actually. So we just kind of had a lot of ups and downs with lockdowns and stuff, but we actually kind of came out of it pretty much busier than we were before. So, it went pretty well, I guess, as far as it could. Global pandemic and all.
Let me get a handle on what you do exactly, and I'm going to take you in front of a group of grade school kids at a career day right now, and I'm going to have a kid look up at you, a third grader, and they're going to ask you, what do you do for a living, and how are you qualified to do that? How would you answer them?
I just say that I take pictures for a living, and I went to school for it, I guess.
Awesome. So talk to me a little bit about exactly what it means to be a commercial photographer. What is it that you spend most of your time taking pictures of?
Yeah, for sure. So what I mostly do is I work for large companies, and we take photos of for their advertising, really. So it could be large manufacturing company. They want photos of their staff or people or facilities, and that's kind of what I do. I just help really clients with their messaging, if that makes sense. So we're strictly work with companies, and so it's a little bit different than the average photographer who might deal with weddings and family portraits and stuff.
How did you get interested in photography? Where did this start for you?
I started doing it, I guess it's more as a hobby in my teen years, and then got really serious about it in my early 20s. I kind of say it's the only thing I'm really good at, so I've kind of just decided to pursue that.
You know, with being a photographer, obviously there's a myriad of ways that you can capture what you're looking for. I mean, everybody has a voice in their art. What is it that you prefer to take pictures of? What is, obviously this is your job is commercial photography, but when you have your druthers and you can go out and do whatever you want with photos, what do you like to do? How do you like to capture the moment?
That's a good question. For me, it kind of changes. It's changed over time. I guess there was a time where I really liked to do landscapes, or I might have really liked to do buildings, and it's kind of it's morphed into more of I think it's I'm shooting more ideas, if that makes sense. It probably sounds really weird and abstract, but I think a lot of it now is it's kind of merged, our work's merged into combining nature with people and then messaging, and it's almost like having an idea in mind and then creating that vision. And then that forms that total idea of what you're looking to put across. I don't know. Does that make sense to you, or am I going off on a
no?
With that?
It probably makes sense to me because at my heart, I'm a photographer as well. I've taken pictures for a long time. I've never done it in any big professional capacity, but I understand that. I mean, there's times where I'll get to the point where it's my God, I've been taking that same kind of photo of, say, right now we're in fall, really getting the reds or the oranges or the yellows or whatever. It's I want to switch it up and come up with concepts, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time. Maybe I get the sun coming through the tree the right way, or the leaf falling down. I get what you're saying. Is that kind of what you're talking about? You get to a point where you want to kind of come up with a new theme, in which, will manifest in subject and all those kinds of things.
It's like that, but it's probably a bit more towards the aspect of a feeling or a thought process on it. I guess, for example, last week we were doing some fall theme photos for a water company, and we hiked into a waterfall area. And it's like, instead of just being like the photo of the waterfall or the person, it's more about you're trying to almost communicate the message of like fall day, hiking, like not winter, excuse me, but like refreshing kind of fall thing. So like, I think a lot of the work has moved from being like, I guess in thinking of a way like, I want to photograph this building, I want to photograph this person, to more of like, I want to convey of emotion of comfort in this home, or I want to convey emotion or a feeling that could go with whatever, what have you. And I think like a lot of my work is based more on that, like maybe more of an excitement or an interest or things that are going on rather than just what's in front of you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it certainly does. Yeah. So I'm curious, when you started this, did you go into a developing lab and do the black and white? How did all of this begin for you, kind of in a physical form?
Yeah, for sure. So for me, mine was kind of weird because it's a bit of digital and it's a bit of film too. I started shooting film as a hobby mostly. And then I kind of got into digital cameras and got a bit serious with that, and then kind of ended up going back to film for a while and shooting that. And then now we're completely digital. So I was a part of a film club for a while where I learned to develop like black and whites on my own type of thing. So I kind of knew how to do that. And then when I went to school for photography, it was mostly, all digital, but there was still like a film component of it where you're developing like medium format black and white film, in the lab and stuff, and using developers and things like that. So for me, I'm kind of like, I know enough about film, but I'm also still like digital, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I keep saying if that makes sense. Yeah.
It does. Yeah, it does. I remember I had a Pentax K1000 that I used to use in high school and beyond, and I remember when digital came out, I was so aggro. I was like, I can't do it. I have to do paper. But I remember getting my first digital camera and feeling like I was on another planet. I just walked around taking pictures of everything. It was like the most fascinating thing ever. Sometimes I resisted, but there's just so much you can do and so much more freedom, I think, when you do have that latitude to not think about running out of paper photos.
It's really kind of pushed the industry harder too. Like I think the quality level in the last 15 years it's just gone way up. I think in the last 15 years, the quality of photography being produced is probably, in my opinion, of course, is probably eclipsed the last 50. Just because you can do that, you can push it harder. But that also too, like that kind of has some negative side effects too, like the old film people, like old photographers, used to be able to just take their photos and go drop off their film and they were done. But now we kind of just get started after the photos are taken.
That's for sure. And I find it interesting too in this modern day and realm. It's like everybody can take pictures now, in a way that people didn't used to. You see, everybody has a phone, so they take pictures. Doesn't necessarily mean they're a photographer, but at least I think people are taking photos more, and it's just becoming more of a recreational thing, which obviously would mean that, those that are really good are going to rise above, and it's going to, it's just going to be a different game for people that are serious about it. But I'm curious how you got trained. Talk to me a little bit about, you said you started out in your teen years. Did you go to school specifically for photography? How did that develop into a vocation for you now?
Yeah, for sure. So I kind of think I'm a bit of both. So I'm a bit self-taught. I kind of taught myself to get started and did it a little bit professionally. And then I ended up going to college for photography, and then came out of college and was 100% professional since that happened, actually. So I kind of have a bit of both going on, if that makes sense. I have a bit of both going on.
I get it. I get it. Yeah. It's okay. It's a style people have. I dig it. It's fine. So talk to me a little bit about what you look forward to in being a photographer. Like every day you wake up and the world's around you and you can capture it. What is it that you really look forward to, and what makes you happy at the end of the day when you look at your photos?
Yeah, for sure. I think the thing I look forward to the most is doing like the interesting shoots, things that are different, kind of pushing my skills a little. I'm kind of really lucky in that the career I've chosen is I'm not stuck doing the same thing every day. Because I do these projects and I'm often out in the field, it's, I'm working with like different companies, different shoots. Like I could be on trains one day, or like I said, hiking to a waterfall the next day. It's really been great that way. And I think those are the things I look forward to the most. I think what I look back on though, like at the end of the day for maybe like some measure of success has just been, I think I'm just like, I really like to say like I've done that, or I was able to do those things, or kind of step outside the box of what I thought I might be able to do. I think it's almost like the experiences at this point are kind of like the reward, and the photos are kind of something that comes along with that.
Yeah, for sure. So who would you consider role models, people that you look up to in your life?
I'm not so sure, to be honest. I guess maybe my parents would be one. I don't know. Like I don't really have like any of the typical type role models. I kind of just do my own thing. I mean, there's definitely photographers I looked up to at one point, but I think I kind of takes inspiration from different things.
Let me take this a step further here. If you could meet anybody alive right now on the planet, who would it be? Who would you love to talk to?
I don't know. See, I'm kind of different though, because how can I explain this? So like one of the things I do like is I get to talk to people from like kind of like all walks of life, and kind of see people who build things and make things, and like they're not necessarily like your celebrities or things like that. And I think for me, like I'm more grounded in like learning about someone who might like develop like a rocket, or like someone who might be building a machine or something, or like I think those are like the conversations and the meetings that I get to know, but like I enjoy the most. So I don't know if there's like a one person I want to meet. I think it's just like for me, I just like to get to know different people or different walks of life and stuff, and I kind of like just feel like we're all kind of like on the same page, or in a way, and maybe some are more famous than others, but I think like sometimes maybe like just the average person is kind of like more interesting to me.
I dig it. Yeah, for sure. So who would you cite as influences for the way that you take photos? I mean, whether it's an artist or a photographer, who have been inspirations for you?
I mean, there's definitely a time where I looked at kind of like some of the old masters, like Ansel Adams, and maybe like more like Steve Curry and stuff like that. But I think like at this point, I don't know, I kind of moved into more like painters after a while. More like, I think like some of my work's kind of influenced by like the group of seven, like these famous Canadian painters that are kind of landscape inspired, things like that. And I think more like that it's kind of been for me. But I would kind of say that. But I kind of like, again, kind of moved past that influence at this point, and just kind of trying to look for inspiration from different things. Like it can even be things like music and different abstract ideas and things like that. It kind of gets to a point where you're kind of maybe a bit away from the influence as much as you can. Like it almost feels like for sometimes like now like influence can be noise, and it's better to stay away from it.
So talk to me a little bit about, and this is just coming from me personally, loving to take pictures. What has been a trip for you, a place that you went to, that you took photos that was just memorable, that you loved, that you always remember?
Yeah, for sure. So I think like White Sands, New Mexico was probably one of my favorite places. That was pretty gorgeous, just the white sand. I went there in the winter a few years ago, so it was pretty amazing. And then like anything in Utah is pretty spectacular. Those would probably be the better ones. But then like I've been to quite a few different places too. So even like the Arctic's kind of neat. But I think that Southwest United States is really kind of an amazing place. I don't really know how you can take a bad photo down there. It's kind of like everything's great.
Yeah, I actually went on a journey from Colorado to San Diego this summer, and it was just unreal. Just the whole trip was it's eye candy everywhere, for sure.
Yeah.
So everyone, just from a standpoint of wisdom, let's say you have a dream tonight, you run into the younger version of yourself, and you could give that young version a piece of advice. What would it be? What would you tell your younger version?
My biggest thing, I would probably say to be patient. A lot of this stuff just takes time. It takes a long time to get your name built. It takes a long time to build a company, and things just, a lot of it is just kind of doing like the same things over time, and that builds your success. But when you're young, and I'm still young enough, I think I'm 39, but it's, so much of it's just patience. Like, just be patient and be willing to accept things take a while to happen.
So everyone has a perception of you, an idea of who they think you are, whether they know you in person or see your work, but ultimately, your family, your friends, clients, but you live your life. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I don't know. Usually when I get asked who do I think I am, it's not in a good context. Sorry, just kidding. I don't know. I don't know who I am, I guess, to be honest. I just, I take photos for different things, and I don't know. I think kind of in a weird way, part of this is just trying to figure out who I am, I guess. Photography is very weird. It can be very self-serving at times, and then it can also be very giving because you are taking photos for other people. And I think a lot of your work that's what it is. For me, I've always thought that great photography you make for others, and it's less about you. You're just supposed to be a vessel for it. And I guess in some regards, I think that is kind of what my work is just finding out who I am. And and I think that changes over time too. I could tell you, now I'm more of just, I a business person. I'm taking photos for a living. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, who I am, I guess.
That's fine. No, that's fine. Robert, if anyone wants to see your work, learn more about you, where can they go? Where's the best place on the web?
Oh, for sure. It's probably just my website. It's just my name, so it's robertlowdon.com or robertlowdon.com. And then we have the other socials too, but you can usually just find those through Google or through the site, but it's usually better just for the website.
Excellent. Robert, hey, thanks for opening up, man. Good luck with everything. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to another famous interview with Joe Dimino, where we cover the world of art, literature, photography, and music around the globe. If you want to hear more interviews, visit the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino channel on YouTube. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.